Hey y'all, it's my birthday. I mean, not today as in like today while I'm filming, but the day that this video is posted, it's my birthday. And I am pre-filming videos because the week of my birthday I'm going to be in Orlando, and on my actual birthday I'm gonna be in Harry Potter World. Like, when you're watching this, if you're watching it right when it's posted or like the day that it's posted, I'm at Harry Potter World. And so because it's my birthday and I love Harry Potter and I'm gonna be at Harry Potter World today, I figured that I should do a Harry Potter related video for my birthday. I have compiled 30 Harry Potter related questions from various Harry Potter tags, and I've put them all into one thing, and I'm going to be answering them. 15 of the questions are about the series itself, and the other 15 are about like if I were in the series, like, you know, my Hogwarts house or my wand or stuff like that. So starting with the questions about the series itself, the first question is, what is your favorite book? And I've mentioned this many times, but my favorite book in the series is a tie between Half-Blood Prince and Deathly Hallows. They're my two favorites. They've always been my two favorites. They will always be my two favorites. They're just, I love them. Question number 2 is least favorite Harry Potter book, and for me that would definitely be Chamber of Secrets. And I actually did a whole video ranking all 7 of the Harry Potter books. I think it's the first video that I actually posted on this channel almost a year ago. I'll link it down in the description, but I'm not sure I would suggest that you watch it because it's kind of terrible, but yeah. Question number 3 is favorite Harry Potter movie, and again, it's a tie. It's between Prisoner of Azkaban and Deathly Hallows Part 2. I just love both of those so much. And related to that, question number 4 is least favorite movie, and I'm gonna have to go with Sorcerer's Stone. I know that is super sacrilege, but yeah, it's my least favorite movie of the series, and I know that I'm wearing my Sorcerer's Stone shirt right now, but I mean, I still love it. It's just my least favorite. So question number 5 is top 5 favorite characters, and surprisingly this is actually harder than choosing my least favorite characters. So the most obvious ones are Fred and George, which I'm counting as one even though they're two people, Hermione and Ron. And then after that it's a little bit harder because there are a lot that I really like as well. So I think that if I had a wand pointed to my head, the 4th and 5th spots would be Lupin and McGonagall, but it's just so hard to choose. I also really like Neville, I even like Draco. Yeah, it's tough. So question number 6 is 5 least favorite characters, and this is super easy for me. Umbridge, Ginny, Lavender Brown, Rita Skeeter, and Gilderoy Lockhart. Yeah, I'm just not a fan of any of the characters that I just named. Question number 7 is favorite professor, and honestly, I'm torn between Lupin and McGonagall. I love both of them for very different reasons. Once again, I guess if I had a wand pointed to my head, I would go with McGonagall because she's just so sassy and wonderful. But yeah, I really love both of them. Question number 8 is favorite Marauder, and obviously given my last few answers, Lupin. Question number 9 is favorite quote, and if I had my books out with me, I would open up Sorcerer's Stone and just read it to you, but since I don't have it in front of me, I'm gonna have to go with a shortened version of it. Basically, it's the scene where they are in the Great Hall and they're all singing the school song and they're singing at different paces. And it basically goes that the Weasley twins are the last ones singing at a very slow funeral march pace, and Dumbledore is conducting them, and once they finish, he says, "Ah, music, a magic beyond all we do here." And it's just, I mean, I'm a music major, and it's just, it speaks right to my soul, and I love it. And plus, it's just one of my all-time favorite Weasley twins moments. Question number 10 is favorite ship, and my favorite ship of all time in anything is Hermione. I'm also a big fan of Nuna, but they are unfortunately not canon, and that makes me really sad. Question number 11 is parts that made you cry, and I mean basically just any major character death made me cry. I mean, obviously not, you know, Voldemort or Bellatrix, but any of the like good guys that died made me cry, especially Fred. Like, I was reading Deathly Hallows in public when I got to Fred's death, and I sobbed in public. It was not a good moment for me. Question number 12 is funniest moment, and I mean, I'm gonna be pretty general here, but all of the Weasley twins moments. One of my personal favorites is in Half-Blood Prince when the Weasleys and Harry and Hermione are like walking past the Weasley twins' new shop, and they see in the window a sign that says, "Why are you worried about you-know-who? You need to be worried about you-know-poo, the constipation sensation that's gripping the nation." And I died laughing for forever after reading that. And then Mrs. Weasley is like, "They'll be killed in their beds." And it's just so funny, and yeah. But yeah, there are so many hilarious scenes. Lee Jordan's commentary on the Quidditch games is wonderful. When Fred and George get their sweaters and they're like, "No, we know what our names are, we're Gred and Forge." And just, honestly, any Weasley twins moment is just perfection. Question number 13 is, what was left out of the movies that you most wished was left in? And there are quite a few. Like, there are a lot of complaints. I think Peeves is one of the ones that I really wish I could have seen in the movies. Another one was all of the pensive scenes in book 6 that were cut out. Yeah, there should have been a ton more of those in the Half-Blood Prince movie, and there just weren't. So yeah, there were a lot that I would say in general, but I think those are the two biggest ones that bother me. Question number 14 is, are there any opinions you had about the series or things within the series that have changed over time? And yeah, actually, I used to really hate Snape, I mean, for obvious reasons, until he was revealed as a good guy in book 7. We didn't know that he was a good guy, and so everyone hated him. So yeah, I mean, I really like Snape now, but I really hated him when I was reading the series the first time. And I would also have to say that I didn't like Prisoner of Azkaban that much the first time I read it. Like, as a 10-year-old, I guess I was just bored with the fact that Voldemort wasn't there and that Harry wasn't fighting Voldemort. But yeah, I just didn't like Prisoner of Azkaban that much, and when I read the series the first time, it was my least favorite book. Now it's one of my all-time favorites in the series, but yeah, I didn't like it the first time. And finally, question 15, the last one about the series itself, is, were you happy with the way it ended? And as far as the way that everyone and everything ended up, in general, yes. I mean, there were a couple character deaths that made me really sad, but in general, yes, I was happy with the way it ended. However, I was and still am very disappointed with the epilogue 19 years later. The majority of the things that I know about the Wizarding world after the events of the main plot is from websites and from stuff that J.K. Rowling has said in interviews, because we didn't get to find out that much in 19 years later except about Harry, Ron, Hermione, and Ginny and their kids. Like, there are all these characters that we've all grown to love, and some of them aren't even mentioned, and the ones that are mentioned are just barely touched upon. It's all about Harry, Ron, Hermione, and Ginny, which is nice because they are the key characters. However, there are just so many more that I feel like should have at least been touched on or discussed a little. So yeah, in general, I like how everything ended up, but the actual epilogue chapter is kind of disappointing. Okay, so now moving on to the questions about if I were in the Wizarding world. And the first question is, what house do you think you would be in, / what house did you get sorted in on Pottermore? And I have long said that I am a Slytherclaw because I definitely have traits of both Ravenclaw and Slytherin, and I've gotten a hat stall on more than one occasion when doing the Pottermore sorting hat quiz. However, due to the sort of identity crisis that comes along with not having a single identified house, I started thinking more deeply about it a few weeks ago, and I have since come to the decision that I am a Ravenclaw with a few Slytherin tendencies. Because if we're being honest, not only do I have the traits of the Ravenclaw house, but they're also the traits that I personally find the most important in myself and in individuals in general. Intelligence, creativity, wit, individualism, they're all things that I personally find very important, and so because of that, I've come to realize that I am definitely a Ravenclaw. So the second question in this set is, what is your wand / what wand did you get on Pottermore? And I've gotten a few different ones throughout my many times creating new accounts on Pottermore so that I could sort many times, but the most recent one that I have is Chestnut with Phoenix Feather Core, 10 3/4 inches, unyielding. I have no idea what that says about me. The third question is, what do you think your Patronus would be / what would you want your Patronus to be? And there are a few that I think kind of fit me. One is a horse, or maybe a cat, or a fox. I think if I had to choose one, I would go with a horse, but I think all three of those are pretty good possibilities, even though I'm not a cat person at all. Question number 4 is, what would your Quidditch position be? Ideally, I think I would be a beater. I think beaters are the coolest, and not just because Fred and George were beaters, just because, you know, I think it would be the most fun to just have a bat and hit the bludger. I think that would be the coolest part of a Quidditch game. However, if I'm being completely honest, I probably wouldn't be on the Quidditch team because I'm lazy. I used to be athletic, but I'm not anymore. I'd probably be sitting in the stands cheering them on, but unfortunately, I don't think I'd actually be on the team. Question number 5 is, what would a boggart be for you? And for me, it would definitely be an ostrich. I am terrified of birds, especially big birds, ostriches, emus, turkeys, peacocks. They just freak me out. So yeah, it would be a big bird, but specifically an ostrich. Question number 6 is, if you were at Hogwarts, what class would you be most excited about? And for me, it's definitely potions. I don't know why, potions has just always been really intriguing to me. I feel like it would just be really cool to like throw the ingredients into the cauldron and like mix it up and like come up with this really cool potion in the end. I mean, it sounds a lot like cooking, and I don't cook, nor do I want to cook, but I like watching a lot of cooking shows like Top Chef and The Taste, so I mean, maybe that's why I think potions would be so cool? I don't know. Number 7 is, what is your favorite spell, or what do you think is the most useful spell? And for me, I would probably have to say either Wingardium Leviosa or Accio. I think I'd probably end up going with Wingardium Leviosa because Accio can just bring things to you, and Wingardium Leviosa can float things, and so I could float things around my room. I could clean without having to move. It'd be really nice. If I wanted something from my desk and I was sitting on my bed, I could just swish and flick it right over to me, and it would be really simple and I wouldn't have to get up. So yeah, I mean, Wingardium Leviosa is basically like the lazy person's ultimate spell. Question number 8 is a character that I would bring back to life, and I think this one is pretty obvious based on what I've said in this video and in past videos. Fred. I love Fred. He's my favorite. And Fred. Question number 9 is the character that I'd most want to date, and the obvious answer here is one of the Weasley twins. However, they do actually have slightly different personalities that most people don't notice, so it's kind of a toss-up between the two of them. I talk a lot about Fred, and I do tend to say that I like Fred more than George. However, I really do love both of them, and some days I'm like, maybe I do like George better than Fred, and then I'm like, no, maybe I like Fred better than George. But in general, I just love both of them, and even though they do have slightly different personalities, like, I love them both equally. I love that Fred is the more reckless of the two of them, and George is the slightly more logical of them, but they can both be hilarious and silly and goofy and just wonderful and caring, and yeah. However, since I've said 20 billion things about the Weasley twins, I think that if I had to choose someone other than one of the two of them, I'd probably go with Ron, which I know is almost just as redundant as saying the Weasley twins over and over again because he's, you know, their brother, but I really do love Ron as well. And I could totally see myself going for Ron. I mean, he's really laid back, which is important to me, and he's also just really goofy, and I love that about him. Yeah, if it wasn't Fred or George, I would have to go for Ron. And Draco is the typical, you know, bad boy who's really attractive, which I do really like. I love Draco. However, I couldn't see myself realistically actually dating him. Question number 10 is character that I would instantly be friends with / like my best friend in the Harry Potter world. And I think that I actually have different answers for each of those because I could see myself like gravitating towards Ron and becoming really good friends with him like right out of the gate because we have pretty similar personalities. However, if I were to have just one single best friend within the wizarding world, I would probably have to go with Hermione. And this is partially because my best friend in real life is basically Hermione. But yeah, for me, Hermione has always been someone that I thought I would really get along with and be close friends with. Number 11 is character that I would not get along with. And I would have to say that aside from like the villains, you know, like Umbridge and stuff, I would probably have to go with Lavender Brown. Like I mentioned earlier, I really don't like Lavender Brown, and I think that if I went to school with her, I would want to rip her head off the entire time. Like, she's pretty bearable for the first 5 books. We don't see her a ton, but she's never, you know, terrible. And then in Half-Blood Prince, she becomes so incredibly unbearable that I just cannot deal with her. And it's not even just the fact that she was keeping Ron and Hermione apart. She just has the most obnoxious personality, and anyone who would actually call their boyfriend Wan Wan is not someone I want to be around. It is someone I want to run far away from. So yeah, Lavender Brown is probably the person that I would not get along with. Question number 12 is character that I most like. And at one point, I think I said that I was Hermione and Luna combined, plus a dash of Ron and a dash of the Weasley twins. However, I'm not quite so sure about that anymore. I would definitely say that at least half of me is like Hermione. However, I think I would exclude Luna from the equation. I mean, she is a Ravenclaw, and I do really like her as a character, but she's a little bit too out there and spacey for me. So I would probably say that I'm actually kind of a combination of Hermione and Ron, with like a little bit of the Weasley twins thrown in. Because intelligence is really important to me, and so is learning, and school is really important to me. However, I'm also really laid back, and I don't really worry about anything, and I generally have an inability to take anything seriously. Like, I'm just pretty chill, and that's definitely some Ron traits there. However, I am also super sarcastic, and I personally think that I have a great sense of humor, and so that would be slightly attributed to the Weasley twins. So yeah, mostly a combination of Hermione and Ron, which are about as opposite as you can get, with just a touch of Weasley twins. Question 13 is, what would you want your job to be in the wizarding world? My initial thought would be to say a journalist. However, that would mean I would either have to work for the very corrupt Daily Prophet or the very insane Quibbler. And so I think that I would just most like to be a Hogwarts professor. I think I'd probably gravitate toward potions, but honestly, I'd be cool with any position. Question number 14 is, which of the Deathly Hallows would you choose? And this one is a tough one for me. I would immediately rule out the Resurrection Stone because that one has never held very much importance to me. However, the rest of the decision I think just relies on the circumstance, because I currently don't have a wand and can't do magic. But if I had the Elder Wand, I could. It's not like I would choose the Elder Wand to like have the most powerful wand in the world, but rather to just have a wand at all. However, I guess the magic is in the individual and not in the wand, so even Muggle me couldn't use the most powerful wand in the world, so I guess I would still just go with the invisibility cloak. So yeah, I guess I would choose the invisibility cloak, however, it still makes me really sad that I don't have a wand and can't do magic. And question number 15 is less related to me being within the wizarding world, but more of the wizarding world being a part of me, and that is, what does Harry Potter mean to you? And I honestly don't think I could put it into words. There is no fandom, no book series, no movie series that has ever affected me as deeply as Harry Potter. Honestly, I am probably more knowledgeable about the wizarding world than I am about the real world that I live in. I've read the books so many times, and I've watched the movies so many times, and they are just an essential part of me. Other favorite things like movies or books and TV shows have come and gone, but Harry Potter has been a constant ever since the first time that I read The Sorcerer's Stone. It has become not just very important to the part of my life when I first read it, but just to my entire life and to me as a person. It just has affected me so deeply, and it is so incredibly important to me. And that's honestly about as well as I can put it into words, because something that has affected my life that deeply is near impossible to define. Sorry to end it on such an emotional note, But that is the end of the Harry Potter questions. I hope y'all enjoyed this. I know I did because I got to sit and talk about my favorite series of all time for quite a while. As always, I will leave links down in the description to my blog, Twitter, and Goodreads. Please add me as a friend on Goodreads. I would love to be friends with all of you. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!